Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Best of 5 Finals for the 136th European Open Cup. In the top right of Inside and Outs, we have Shopify Rebellion's Lambo. Bottom left, we have the Teal Terran Team Liquid's Clem. Another TvZ for all you lovely listeners. It does still remain a very good matchup. But I will admit, the more that a player goes for Super Turtle late game, the more I dislike the matchup. It's not the best part of StarCraft. Is that turtle thing. But fortunately, Clem, despite what may or may not be working for him at any given time, is generally an aggressive mid-game player. He does experiments and practice as one should in these kind of important, but not really all that important Open Cups, you know? Kind of a great field of practice. Kind of serious, but not really all that serious. To do turtle games, to do 6-minute fourth bases, to do
apparently you are doing something right,
different types of builds, battlecruiser builds, mech builds. I mean, maybe not mech so much in this matchup, but Clem earlier today went for a double Starport Raven thing that I don't think I've seen him do too much. So there is some experimentation going on that can sometimes be very, very passive. But I think overall, I believe that these two players often bring the action. So while Lambo, I wouldn't necessarily say in the past, I really picked him as the more aggressive Zerg player. Definitely cerebral. Mechanically, not perfect, but desiring to be mechanically perfect over maybe everything else. I think, obviously a very complicated player to read. And that goes for his openings, like the Roaches that we saw earlier, or even the Mass Ling Baneling in the mid-game, to the Muta games he was playing as well, 2 out of 3 games versus Hero Marine, and so on and so forth, I guess. So he's really been diversifying, and in exciting ways as well. So I think this will be a great Best of 5 TvZ, and I'm not just saying that because I have to, because actually it's my channel, and I really don't have to. I have been brutally honest with you guys before. If there has been a PvZ in the finals in the last 2 years, up until the hero style play, I have sat there during the cast saying, oh boy, Void Race, this is so fun. But I actually think this is a really cool matchup between these two players. JW, thank you for the 25 months. So we do have a double gas opener from Clem. He's going to go into one of the more basic builds off of double gas, though, which is Hellion Liberator. So the Banshees, they have a lot more usually to be done with than a Liberator. There's 2 of them instead of 1. They cloak instead of not cloaking. They only shoot down, though. It's one thing Liberator has, but not that everyone ever uses the Liberator to shoot up. But they also cost a pretty penny, the 2 Banshees and Cloak. And as far as their offensive capabilities, well, there certainly is an argument that Lambo has played perfectly against Hellion Banshee more than once. They kind of are played a little more, a little more obviously sometimes. Although Hero Marine really was tripping Lambo up, so I can't say that every time. A Liberator, it can absolutely trip a Zerg player up, but far more it's going to happen because it just is an out-microing issue. That Clem is playing too fast for Lambo's uprooting and rooting of a Spore Crawler and Queen walking away and all that type of stuff is going to catch up with. And that was a serious problem maybe a year and a half ago, I want to maybe. Was that Clem's mid-game peak? I feel like he did have a peak, and it's been Zerg players doing a better job defending against Clem's mid-game peak. But timelines all over the place. But I just remember a couple of those games where him and Maru, maybe them both, were just seriously annoying They were winning TvZs off of the Hellion Liberator thing. Now, not so much. But it does streamline the rest of your build quite nice while still giving a little bit of scouting and a little bit of harassment. Doesn't really have the ability to help on those run-bys as much of those Banshees, though. So I do want to note that, since run-bys can be such an important tactic for the Zerg player. And not that Banshees completely negate run-bys, of course, but certainly better than Liberators do. Third CC is now on location. Liberator's gonna get healed up. It really did nothing. I don't know if it deserves healthcare. Get back to work. God damn it. But fine, whatever. Communist. And a push to the middle of the map that's actually coming way faster than it should. This is even bold of Clem. Anytime a Terran player moves on to creep with especially siege units without medevacs, well, I guess siege units can't be picked up by medevacs, but you know what I'm saying. Like, this is kind of a permanent feature that Clem's trying to do. Had he been pounced on, he would have been in trouble, but he wasn't pounced on. He actually did get the siege up, Hellbats included, Liberator included, and this is certainly a different type of attack, trying to abuse the structure of the map, actually. But Lambo very well timed this Ling run by. Took care of the third base, got into the natural. 12 SCVs is pretty good for what was, I think, I want to say 20 Lings. Maybe about that. All while barely being able to defend against this push. With the Hellion, with how far it got without really having a response, I don't know, maybe it could have been game ending. But not in this game. Not in this game. It was clever for a lot of reasons, actually, but this just doesn't look like it is. It just looks like, okay, was that really all that cool? Like, was Clem's idea really there? But it was actually a really cool idea. The faster armory coming in here, well, maybe not even that much faster, actually. It's when one is already done. But still, having those Hellbats with the attack of the double drop and a tank and a Liberator, those are all units that require kind of a different tool set to really take on, especially if they're going to abuse a choke. So it's not just like, okay, certain amount of units, now Kith. There's a little more to be done, so it can get complicated, but that was actually not that complicated. Lambo handled that very well. And Clem does fall behind. That Ling run by, killing far more than what Clem got from his push. Really, Clem got maybe a temporary lapse of droning, but Lambo's back up to almost 80. And on 5 bases, 6 hatcheries. So, gosh, I want to say Lambo might just run away with this game. His upgrades really aren't that far behind. Although he did go for just pure Ling Baneling. No Mutas here. So it would have been nice if they maybe had an upgrade lead, but Clem's upgrade's pretty fast as well. But yeah, they're not that far behind. Lambo, I guess there's 2 choices from Zerg's position, right? All in Ling Baneling, or add on the Infestation Pit. And he does go for the Infestation Pit. 93 workers by the time he stops droning, but since he got 5 bases up and running, why not? Oh boy, yep. A little bit of a late pickup there, but mostly picked up the Marines. Clem again shocked into the middle of the map without medevacs is just really dangerous to do. Even as he sieges his tanks, looking to get the jump on Lambo's attempted run by or even just straight up attack the middle of the map. It just is so scary when this happens without medevacs. At the very least, you hope the Marines can escape. A Ling Baneling attack on the third base as well is going to get either, well, probably should have gotten that clump of SCVs. He's going to just go run a little shy of that. That's unfortunate. That was 5 SCVs that probably should have died, and a couple more are going to be saved as well. So 7 SCVs in total. The tanks in the middle of the map are going to be surrounded. A couple of good shots from them, though, before they lose their lives. So that could have been worse from Clem, who is now down 20-30 supply. His 2-2 upgrades finished, I think, during that attack, so he had a bit of an upgrade lead that was helping him defend, but now things are going to even up, and Lambo does still have a decent army at the end of the day. Just need to get that positioning for it. Once again, trying to abuse the ramp in the middle. Very little creep spread. Misses a couple of the creep tumors, though, so if Lambo pushes this back, he might actually get some decent creep spread, and looks like with his full surround, he will indeed get that pushback, drop up to the right side, not really all that far away from where Lambo's army is, so it shouldn't do all that much. Could pick up and go into the main base. Lambo has a handful of units ready for that potential, and the Banelings are already headed that way as well. Scan the top left. I thought he had sent units there. Maybe he sent units thinking there was a base and then doubted himself because they got intercepted. Is that what happened? I don't know why he scanned there. But now he scans the main, sees that it's a hive, sees that his opponent's on 5 bases. Kind of tallying everything together. It may not feel all that great for Clem, but Clem's supply is now ahead. So, maybe not all that bad. Lambo has not gotten maybe enough gases to do everything that he has desired, and he is picking up on that as well, building the banelings, getting the upgrades, and anything else beyond that, right? Vipers or Ultralisk Cavern is a little out of his reach for his current gas count. So this is actually time for Clem to shine. He did have a decent direct engagement. So far going for a couple of drops to the left and the right is not really doing enough. It's not quite getting the anchor you'd hope for. Oh, a lot of queens going down with plenty of transfuse energy. Oh, actually all the queens are gonna go down here. Oh no. Ooh, definitely want to rebuild at least a few of those. We were talking about 4 queens. For 6 hatcheries, maybe that's okay, but then no creep spread, right? And I do still want some creep spread going on. That middle creep spread not continuing to advance is just a APM problem, which sounds weird because it's 800 APM, but that's a lot of the full ring units, I guess. But no, he just hasn't gotten around to it, which does suck because Clem is trying to push that. And now into the main base Clem goes. Probably going to lose the last remnants of the drop. Finally, Lambo can get that monkey off his back. But as that happens, 3 Widow Mines. Altogether, 20 drones go down. Widow Mines are even saved to return back home. And Lambo has lost what I believe for a while there was a lead. Oh god, that was a big hit. Not a stupendous lead, as Clem did settle on a decent number of SCVs and got his 4th base up unhindered, no problems there. But I do think that Lambo was on a bit of control of the game. Has lost it, for sure. It's taken a little bit too long to clean everything up. Has taken a little bit too much damage every time he does clean it up. And again, missing some of the very, very fundamentals, which the game is just... It is incredibly fast. The creep spread is starting to hurt. And without creep spread, we're talking about the main engagement being more difficult. We're also talking about a little less scouting, so more drops, more harassment, does more damage. At least the supplies are even, though. Lambo has lost many of the drones from earlier. But the supplies are even. He is adding on 3-3, getting the chitinous plating, and trying to get a big ol' run by, of which he will get the banelings, get some decent connections, mostly on those marauders, though, not the juicy center of the Marines. And Widow Mine number 1? That's actually the only Widow Mine. So number 1, Widow Mine right there. There's a bunch of lings. Planetary will hold on against the other set of lings. And nope, there's Widow Mine number 2. Oh, that wasn't that good. That was not that good. Banelings might actually get connections with the SCVs at this point. Sensor tower also going to be a target. SCVs pulled once again to safety. Yes, indeed. A couple more Widow Mines do go down with the help of the Overseers, but the Lings have not done a lot of, I guess what you could say, like, permanent damage. There's a lot of running around. 9 SCVs, not that big of a deal. Temporary loss of SCV mining, not that big of a deal. Terran is on 5 bases. Lambo still only on 5, which 5 minutes ago, whenever I mentioned he was on 5 bases, was fantastic. Now it's like, well, you know, you should probably get another one soon. There's only so many spaces you can take on inside and out, especially ones that don't really push you very close to your opponent. Like, any base Lambo takes, Clem's right freaking there. Ooh, well-timed attack. So he did see this 5th base, not a planetary, and decided that was going to be the first target. Finds it non-planetary, which actually might kind of be a problem. He might have wanted to find it as it turned into a planetary, so that it wouldn't be able to lift. Oh, well, hello. That's surprising. Planetary does go down, even with the almost full surround of SCVs. I guess that was the difference maker. Ultras might lose a couple of their lives for it, but this has opened up a whole mess of trouble, apparently. Lambo now at 40 supply advantage, 20 of that in army, 30 of it in workers. Has better upgrades. Okay, only for 15 more seconds, but that was quite a time to strike. Okay, suddenly, Clem back down at his 4 bases. And Lambo is just punching it. He's just going for it. More SCVs will fall. Main base might be compromised as well. Clem's kind of going almost all in with this push. Basically all in. Yes, it is basically all in. 3rd base also under attack. And oh my god, did not work whatsoever. Oh lord, baby. Baby Jesus. Did not help that particular bio unit. That was a lot of banelings in the face of a lot of bio. GG, Lambo, we'll take game number 1. Certainly kind of a sketchy game. Lambo was in control, and then it felt like he was spiraling out of control, and then he was in control, and Clem couldn't quite get grounded. Which is weird, because it's usually so easy to ground a 17-year-old. I actually don't know how old he is. I've lost track of all these youngins' names. Or ages. That one year when siege mode tanks could be lifted was amazing. No one can convince me otherwise. It's a beautiful thing. In the bottom left of Data C, up 1 now, he is Lambo. The top right is the TL Terran, it is Clem. So already a bit of a surprise. I do think just name brand Clem wins TvZs. Yes, it's kind of his brand. You see Clem, you think good at TvZ. Lambo, you might look at him and say, you know, cool streamer, great content creator.
Twitch Prime sub received.
Guy who thinks a lot about the game.
For appeasing the overmind.
Maybe you saw his signature series, which was really well done. Definitely the best of the new crop of videos, and say, oh, he'd definitely do well as a coach, but maybe you don't think, you know, best ZV tier, because that would probably still go to some of the Korean Zergs. But Lambo has been more consistently lethal. It's the way I'm gonna put it. I think that is the best way of what I'm thinking of. Because in the past, he has had his very scary Zerg moments. You just watch him, and he just looks so fast, so smart, hitting all the right points. You know, he's like a freaking trigger point masseuse. He's hitting all those points to make it cry out in agony. And if he didn't hit it the exact right way for the exact right amount of time, then it's, you know, he's just gonna lose the game. But he hits it so damn well, and you're like, damn, that's some good play. But then, you know, a lot of other games, it would be like, all right, Lambo seems to be doing really well. Seems to be feeling the groove. Let's see what he can do. And then something like a reverse best of 5 happens. He's up 2-0. You're like, damn, Lambo's playing fantastic. And then he gets reverse killed. And you're like, okay, what happened there? Could it be a little bit of a mentality thing? Maybe. Could just be that he is spiking. I'd say maybe that's more likely. Like he spikes and then kind of cools off. More so than some other players, which we really do have like a baseline expectation for them to hit basically all the time. And now Lambo seems to be far more often very scary. Doesn't mean he's winning everything. Doesn't mean he's the scariest Zerg player. Again, probably gonna go to the, I guess, dark now that rogues are tired, but he is getting there. He's not just typical European Zerg. Oh, I'm gonna macro, I'm gonna defend. Which is weird that, I don't know, it's not weird that the European Zergs got that reputation, because it really is a reputation that they gained themselves. They were a lot of macro Zergs. Thanks, Brutal Infester. But, you know, a laser was one of the more dangerous ones. Well, Bly was, but then Bly's style of play really falls out of favor fast. But then a laser is really the scariest Zerg, and you're thinking of really punchy all-ins. The Lambo's increasingly closer to having the whole package here. Macro, decision-making, build orders, all that good stuff. And then winning some of these tempo games, I think, is the real test of a... I feel like he's a self-diagnosed older player. Like, he's talked about maybe not being as fast, but feels like he's keeping up in some of these really complicated games. Like, last game, I feel like it could have absolutely come down to speed. It could have. Kept pointing out the lack of creep spread. I thought that might actually really hurt Lambo, but he managed to keep the speed up on the offensive well enough that it really never became an issue. But I feel like a past Lambo would have maybe been caught slowing down a bit too much. Funnily enough, it was actually Clem who maybe slowed down a bit too much. His drops are doing enough damage. They're really being quite bothersome. They seem to be getting into Lambo's supply to a significant degree. And then it just kind of fell apart. It was like, oh, okay. One too many run-ins through the middle of the map, I guess. Clem had to take care of. Lost some control of the whole situation. But Clem is going to go into a Hellion Banshee build this time around, so it's a bit different. 3rd CC still, though. Banshees might be, as I was saying last game, more helpful for those run-bys. They are not going to stop 20 Lings and 10 Banelings, but they will stop maybe just the 10 Banelings, maybe just the 20 Lings. Because we are on Data C. I was talking about Lambo's speed and lethality having increased the past few months, and I'm thinking a lot of his games on this map. Not the one versus here, Marine. That was awkward. That one wasn't that great. That was not the best feature for Lambo. But a mass Ling-Baneling play against Clem? Yeah, that's what I would be afraid of. Now, Lambo has not gone for Evolution Chamber upgrades yet, but he does have them, so I don't think he's going to go into Aspire. We should have 1-1 start. Lambo actually looks like he maybe messed up his build a bit, to be honest. What has happened while I was talking about nothing? I was pretty sure I was still watching the game, and I was pretty sure still nothing much happened. Yeah, no, it hasn't. Why is Lambo banking so much? He lost 1 queen, 2 lings, and 4, now 5 drones. That's not that much. Huh, that's weird. Well, he's gonna try and fix it now. 5th base is on, or 5th hatchery, sorry, is on the way. So his 1-1 isn't as fast as it really coulda, shoulda, woulda been. His macro hatch maybe isn't as fast as it should have been either. He might still have a money problem. So difficult hooks is almost done, but not done right here, right now. And Clem is already marching in, looking to grab at least 2 of those frontline queens. Maybe the Hellions get those last kills. There you go. 3 of the queens actually went down. And the Banelings could still be shot down with the micro of the Marines. Maybe the Hellions sacrifice themselves for the greater good, or maybe they turn into Hellbats. Army finishes up at a really appropriate time. Oh, little clump on the units, though, for the Terran. Baneling speed kicking in. Maybe it was a bit of a shock for Clem there. He was like, oh, no. But this is very dangerous, and a lot of it was because Lambo was missing about 600 minerals worth of Lings right on the front lines as the attack happened. But maybe now he can clean things up. Maybe. Realizes the Lings alone won't do the trick. He's out upgraded. The Banelings come in and he'll finally be able to push that back, but it is so temporary. Clem doesn't even retreat, really. He's got more reinforcements coming through here. 4th base back at home as well. He's at 2-2 pretty quickly, adding on the Drilling Claws and the Widow Mine, but he's got 3 tanks on the front lines right now, which is super scary. And Lambo's Hydras that he has been diving for the last minute, I don't know how much they're going to help here. He can't even try and get that really great surround that he tried versus here. I mean, even that wasn't enough anyways. He is going to try and get some type of surround, but it's the same problem, basically. The Marines had an escape path. And then we had a little miss micro as he held position his entire army. Yeah, the Marines with escape path. Ooh, probably should not have dived back in. They probably should have taken their escape path. And thanked God for it and got out of there, so many more of them lose their lives. But Clem is trying to hit another more vulnerable location with Widow Mines this time, so changing the pace of the defense. And that is going to work wonders. Lambo went to go and defend, could not get there fast enough, and without Banelings especially, really couldn't be able to take on that many Marines. And now has lost his 5th base, which he really needs, not just for minerals, but also for larvae. He's once again banking 1,000 minerals. It feels like this is just a stumble. He stumbled once. There's a little rock in the road, and he's kind of skipped. He did that thing, and you're just kind of like, I hope no one noticed. But then another slip happened, and then a banana peel, and then like a crack in the road entirely. And now he's just very dangerously close to face planting right in front of the neighborhood. Dangerously close to it. But he is holding on, man. Reminds me of the game California Games. It's an old Nintendo game that had a mini game, I guess, in it, where you could rollerblade. And one of the ways that you like bypass like an ice cream spill was to actually do a twirl. And does that actually make sense in actual rollerblading? I don't think so, but I don't know. I don't rollerblade. And right now, Lambo's fucking twirling. All right, but it might fail. He might accidentally twirl over a crack, which actually just causes you to fall over in the game. Also, to add comedic effects, the person in the game is always a ponytail young lady, so that's Lambo right now. Oh, he finally gets something to be say in the game, tries to go for a run by just to disrupt the flow a little bit, which is really kind of the smartest thing you can do strategically, not even just an execution thing. It's just something you have to show the Terran and be like, ugh. And whether the Terran actually is scared or not depends on how many reinforcements they had back at home. But Lambo is absolutely still on the back foot. He is scrapping by here, affording the upgrades, yes, affording it to Hive and Lurkers, but not in a very complete position. Creep spread, the base counts, the amount of damage he's done to his opponents. It's not there. This big Doom drop, though, in the main base, I think is a disaster. 0 out of 10 on that Doom drop in the main. I never am a fan of Doom drops in the main base. Alright, just put on a creep. That's my issue with it. But it would have been really great if Lambo's army was maybe hanging around here. Then it probably would have actually been able to target fire the Hive. So you can see how it would work. It really did not there. Lambo needs a couple of more Baneling hits to really make this game easier. Because he's holding on, but really just holding on. Clem is rich, transitioning, getting more upgrades. Lambo needs the real gate here that can actually keep Lambo alive is a Lurker. Or a dozen. Like, if he gets to a dozen Lurkers, then he might be able to draw the line in the sand here and here. And that would at least give him 4 bases to work with. 5th base would still be a little bit of a struggle to get to, but he will be able to survive. I mean, he's been surviving, but he'll be able to even maybe breathe a little bit. Oh, the Widow Mine shot almost went off. And the Nidus Worm coming into play as well, I think, is an excellent use of his limited resources. That could really turn the tide. And I might be a little frustrated to see that there are just so many Lurkers after all this action. And actually, this 5th base being properly protected is a big deal. Again, how temporary that is. I don't know, may be temporary, but if he can get this up and running, that it's more of a, you know, one-step process now. I think Zerg prior to Lurker is a little more just like, gotta do everything, gotta be fast, gotta go fast, a bit Sonic-like. Lurkers, you can take a chill pill, 1 base at a time. One Nidus Worm at a time as well. Nidus Worm in the main base was not seen, despite Clem clearly looking back at home for those ghosts. Just did not see the Nidus Worm. And now, chaos everywhere. Lambo going for the offensive, digs lurkers on top of Clem's third base as well as another command center. Main base of Clem still under attack, including his armory. Lurkers even kind of covering the choke leading up to the main base. The ghosts are having a heck of a problem getting up here and getting the snipes. Finally, they will do so and clear up all of this, but 42 SCVs have gone down. Holy shit, Lambo turning this around in the blink of an eye. Thank God for lurkers. Even as he loses his last few, and do keep in mind that that was quite an investment from a guy who really isn't all that rich. His fifth base never got mining, and it did get killed right then. Looks like Clem dedicated some micro to killing those two lurkers that were there, and was able to at least get that for him. But damn, this has turned into a really, really difficult game to call. 8 more lurkers is going to be Lambo's priority, which makes a lot of sense. For Clem, just kind of fixing everything. Getting everything back to normal. Now, maybe restrain yourself to 4 bases so you aren't reaching super far out to protect a 5th for Clem, and that's what he can do now, but it still is a really good thing to do now. Maybe the only thing, that might be still be a very good thing. That is a lot of ghosts that he has built up. Many, many lurkers going down. A couple of the ghosts starting to as well. Some of them still alive thanks to the help of Cloak. As the Overseer was not done, Scan reveals the last lurker, and Lambo, he was so freaking close to turning this game around, is once again on his heels. And the lurkers are no longer doing the trick against what is now mostly a ghost army. And Clem is going to be able to win this game, but oh my god, if Lambo had pulled back a little bit sooner, you gotta wonder if he would have been able to hold against this counter. GG. Clem will tie up the series. Rogue retired? Yes, he's not playing any GSL. I think he did play the World Team League until his team lost. I don't know what's happening there. And he's playing in a couple of like Wardies tournaments before he leaves. But he is going to the military in the next month or two. Bowstick, thank you for that Prime sub during all that action, by the way. Ooh, Stargazers for map number 3. Top left, it is Lambo. And top right, we do have Clem. As well as these lovely spikes. I guess the players did not feel that, so that's nice. Pretty cool games. Pretty cool games. Really thought Lambo was going to do it, man. Everything exploded at once. It was like a well-coordinated bombing. Which is going to get a little dark, I guess. There's not really any good bombing, is there? But it was like all of the bombs had been planted, and now it was all about pressing the button. And the only thing that the person had to do was get close enough to do so. And that was the Nidus Worm, right? As soon as the Nidus Worm got popped out, like, everything else followed suit, as if it was all coordinated, as if it was on a chain reaction. Nidus Worm pops up, that's already difficult to deal with. Ling run into the third base, clear out third and, you know, 5th or 6th orb, whatever it was. Then Ling Banling hit the 4th base, kill the planetary. It was like, boom, everything at once. And it was really close to, I think, winning the game. Once again, as we have seen in many other StarCraft games, one of the problems was that it was kind of questionable how much army damage it was doing. So it was hard to say at the time, trying to catch all the action and explain what was going on, that I didn't really realize how many ghosts had survived the ordeal. We know that some died in the main base, but the fact that it was like 10 ghosts survived to counterattack with some remnants of the bio army, just enough to help protect them against a potential flood of units, meant that Lambo was probably better off not actually reinforcing with Hydras and Lurkers. Although that would obviously be a very usually correct first instinct. Lurkers, please, love of God, save me in this very, very close, low econ game. But against Ghosts, in particular, it's a bit questionable. It's not that mass Ling Baneling would have done the trick either, though, to be clear, because you just need a critical mass. Like, Ghosts against a non-critical mass of Ling Baneling are great against Ling Baneling. They tank a lot of Banelings, and they deal good damage to the Lings and Banelings. But then it is so much easier for a Zerg player in most games to get critical mass of Ling Baneling against Ghost that is considered kind of a weakness of theirs. But in a game like that, limited income, limited larva, it's possible that Lambo was gonna... It was a damn if you do, damn if you don't situation. There just was too much left over from Clem. So that's why I said if Lambo had pulled back sooner, maybe it would have been different. Maybe if he had saved, 4 or 5 Lurkers and then had 12 Lurkers altogether, the Ghosts take a long time to chip at him. I don't know. But that was a very, very close game. In this game, we got a Command Center first, actually. Into a 2-1-1. I don't know if this actually expedites the drop at all. We're gonna find out. And the Zerg's shoes. The Zerg's place. We just don't have anything interesting, actually. Zerg's not interesting at all. What we need is scouting, though. So he needs to figure out that it's a 2-1-1. Sees a decent number of Marines. 9 times out of 10 is going to be a 2-1-1. There is that 1 out of 10 times that we see a 3 or 4 racks build. Remember, Cure is bringing those out, right? But yeah, otherwise it's usually just 2-1-1. Can you tell that it's a Command Center first 2-1-1 based off that timing of the scout? I don't think so. Because I believe that was his first scout. And again, does this change the timing? If it does, then that could be dangerous. If it doesn't, then I guess it doesn't matter. It doesn't look like it changes the timing of the drop. Still gonna hit it around 5 minutes. And usually, on a map like this, you just go right over here, so I'm surprised Lambo doesn't have any units already prepared. Maybe this does hit a little bit sooner. It's kind of like maybe Command Center first plus the close by air positions means that it hits a little bit sooner, maybe. Maybe it's just the close by air positions. But what this should be is just off of better economy, so maybe you get faster into the additional barracks. And you get faster into tank production, maybe? There's something. There's some reason to go into Command Center first. The 3rd CC is coming down. Maybe that's faster. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is. But anyways, 2-1-1. Double drop. Didn't do a whole lot. Doesn't really require a huge effort from a Zerg player to defend the 2-1-1. Queen's position, Ling's available. That's it. That's all you really need. The complication, Queen's not in position, is a little weird. Then the follow-up is also a little more difficult. So if they follow up by not doing another drop, or not bringing more drops, I should say, then, again, Queen Ling will be fine. But if everything comes together like this, you're gonna need Banelings, which Lambo does have a few, but without centrifugal hooks. Clem has been trying to figure out the perfect, I guess, silver bullets of TvZ on this map, something that is so insanely overpowered by abusing this hanging natural that he just auto wins. He does have yet to find it. Yeah, can't just kill Lambo. Because he's done this in TVP and TvZ, some form of early drop into continued drops into the natural. And I think both times I saw him do it, he died. No, you know what? It was a TVP and Clem died, and then Kelazur did it in a TvZ, and he almost died. That was when he lost a bunch of units here, and it looked like he was gonna die, but he didn't actually die. Point is, it's not as abusive as it looks, but you get the idea. Strategically, this seems like it'd be very abusive. But the map makers, they got some brain power. They got some wrinkles on that brain. They did make this main base kind of huge, so even though it is on your main, there is some creep spread. Well, this ain't gonna be the break, is it? Some difficult hooks, very necessary, and you also need the units to come just a little bit closer. Lings, though, also went for a huge old run by, and a third CC was there to see it, but the Banelings busted through the supply depots, and there was nothing that Clem could do about it. Now Clem, desperately all in on Lambo's main base, is looking to win the game still, but Baneling's speed 20-30 seconds ago, that could change everything. I fear, however, that would just be too late. Oh my god, maybe not. Oh my god, okay, the Marines actually almost got cornered there. And now having to unload in the presence of the Zerg player, it's a little sketch. It's a little dangerous, but the tank in the back really helping that. Still not enough. Still not enough. Clem is down to 30 workers. He's going to be pushed back from Lambo's main base. Eventually, it will happen. And Lambo will be on 4 bases. Finally has Baneling speed, has been building queens religiously, so he is Gucci on the number of queens. And Clem just scanned that bottom left base to figure out just how screwed he was. And it's still pretty screwed. I think what's giving him a little bit of solace right now is that there's no drones there. So if this was fully saturated, then he's really screwed. But it is only 59 drones for Lambo. And Clem is finishing up his 3rd orbital. But he's finishing it. It has not been just muling away this entire time. Oh, also it's not defended, so... This will be a continued sore point of Clem as he tries to push the issue on the other side of the map. He just won't have enough back at home. And Lambo can buy so much time with the way the main base was created and the way that queens function. At the very least, they can tank. So a lot of kudos for Lambo to hold on like this. Especially to his recognition of the problem as fast as he did. Because if you think, oh, 2-1-1 to abuse the close-by air positions, pshaw, dumb Terrans, and that's all you're expecting, you don't think they're going to follow up with something else in the main base, I could see this being an easy win for a lot of Terran players. But Lambo, I think he did identify what it was. He had all of his queens in position. He had a lot of queens as well, which you might say, like, well, all queens, all good, right? Well... sometimes there are too many queens. In this case, it was a perfect thing to do. And another Ling run by just decimated Clem's economy. So 3rd CC lifted, 18 SCVs killed, more, I guess, to die. And Clem still has not really shown the most abusive style of play on this map. I feel like he will one day find it. If not him, then some other Terran player will find the build that effectively breaks the matchup on this map, but today was not that day. And now Clem is a bit desperate. Wee bit desperate. If he had 45 SCVs, this game is still cooking. It is not over at all. It's when I slap your hand away from the pot and the spoon. But this is effectively done. It's not pretty. It's like a trifle with meat in it, a la Friends, but much like Joey, you will all find it delicious. This was a delicious attempt to abuse the map from the Terran player, but ultimately it's quite ugly. Literally the last Marine army we're gonna see. And the Queens are taking it upon themselves trying to win the game. Because the Banelings don't have enough protection, so this is more complicated than it seems. 4 Banelings could be sniped down, but they aren't. That's it, GG. GG. Lambo playing some fine Zerg right there. So I did look up their history when we started the series, and I just totally forgot to bring it up. But Clem has won the last 6 matches they've played. One of those was best of 1, but still. Won the last 4 months of their series. So it is pretty favored to win this one. Many of those were complete shutouts. There was 2-0, 3-0, 2-0, 3-0, and then a 2-1. So Lambo has more recently been fighting back, but not to the point that we expect him to win this, but he is well on his way to doing so. It's not just that he's up a map 2-1, potentially last game of the series, all the good stuff. Just the way that he's playing, it's really, really, really well done. Even the game that he lost was super freaking close when it really should not have been. Now, that was when the first 6 minutes of the game were not very good for Lambo, so let's forget that happens. He then almost made the comeback happen, which was brilliant. Almost brilliant. So he's just playing really well today. In the bottom left, it is Lambo. Top right, it is Clem. Really enjoying your style of commentary. Very enjoyable so far. Thank you, Just Cabal. Are you part of the caster cabal? So Clem has been mixing things up build order-wise, but so has Lambo. And Lambo goes... Wait a minute, what did he do? Confusing it with his Marine match. He went Lurkers on Data C. Well, last game, it was far less to do with his choices, I suppose. Well, his build order choice. That was very much more reaction. Has he played Mudas in this series? It's the 4th game. I really don't remember what happened in the first game. Something did, though. That was the abusive middle of the map game, wasn't it? Okay, yeah. Alright, well, maybe not as much as Clem, but that just is the Zerg way. There's only so many ways they can mix things up. For a Terran player, there's so many different build openers. And Clem has used a slightly different one every time. It's very different. The 2-1-1 is very different. This time around is going to be 2 gases, so probably just Hellion Banshee again. It's Tropical Sacrifice. Would expect that from Lambo. No, actually. Oh, I was not expecting an early attack, that's for sure. I was thinking like Mutas or Lurkers or Mastling Baneling. Kind of more of the mid-game stuff. Not a Roach attack to try and end the game nice and early. It's not going to go up against a very good build, though. You know, here we're going to believe when he lost to it, it was a 3cc. It was on Moondance, so kind of a little obvious that a Terran could do a 3cc build there. A little less so on other maps, even though it is totally possible, especially for Clem, who I think is still somewhat partial 3cc. Actually not lately. I feel like he has a bit more 2-base Hellion Banshee. Well, either way, Lambo is hoping that he's either finding someone who is being very greedy, or he's finding someone who is going to not scout this and then be out of position anyways, right? So I don't think the real hope here from Lambo is another easy peasy victory like against Hero Marine, where he killed 26 SCVs. No, I'm thinking he's hoping that it just causes a disruption. So Clem, he scouts it almost as fast as possible. Not exactly, but it looks like he wasn't going to go into a tech lab immediately anyways. He was going to go into a Hellion Liberator build. So he is caught off guard. So this is what he did in the first game, right? But I think his response to this is better than Hero Marines.
Twitch Prime.
So he is going to add on those
received.
Widow Mines, because I kind of gave the pros and cons of those in that Hero Marine game, but, you know, the cons is that they kind of get taken out with only their one shot, right? They get one shot and they're done. But obviously the pros, if they get that one shot, and they also do splash, so usually that causes some hesitation for the Zerg, else they just get a bunch of damage taken. And when two Marauders are also in play, decent grenade hop as well, well, then yeah, you see how effective that is. The only other downside to going for the Widow Mines is that, you know, should they survive, they can't go across the map like Hellions would. But that's, yeah, I think a smaller point. I really do think the Widow Mines are a great option, but also the Marauders are a great option. I mean, Clem did something that I think a lot of Terran players wouldn't bother doing, which is getting Marauders slow. Is that really critical to the defense? Yeah. Yeah, probably not, but it maybe helped. Point is, Bunker, Widow Mine shots were great, Marauders were produced, Banshee was on the way in case they did get a little out of hand, and that could have. Even with all those defenses, maybe the Roaches still get into the SCV line a little bit. But not in that game. This game. Not in that situation. 9 Roaches, a Ravager died. 1 tried to form, was canceled. 3 Hellions were killed. 1 Widow Mine, 1 Marine, 1 Reaper. Just so much less important. Command Center on the Asheville didn't even have to lift. Or maybe it did, but it landed pretty quickly. So Clem is right back at it. So this was a total disaster, really, for Lambo. As I said, I don't think he was believing in its chances to just straight up win the game. That is a little too high hoped, but I do believe he was hoping that it'd be a little bit later on the scouts, and that Clem's response would be basically greedier. That he wouldn't have such a strong response to it. But that was really well done for Clem, who then does go into Banshees anyways. But, yeah. Titan Rain, thank you for the Prime sub. I don't think that was his initial plan. He was gonna go Liberator and went, oh shit, Roaches. But really able to defend about as smoothly as possible. Get right back into SCV producing as smoothly as possible. And his 2 Banshees are gonna find enough damage to warrant their creation. 7 drones already going down is good, but I believe in their possible 3 or 4 more drone potential. Oh, they're away from Spore Crawlers. No Overseer was formed. 11 drones, and both Banshees still live. Yeah, Banshees have certainly paid for themselves. I would believe that Clem wants to keep at least one of these gals alive, so this is gonna suck. No recall available, right? Because you do want this for anti-run-by supports. And anti-roaches, actually. 16 drones, I think, is still absolutely worth it. But if it had stayed at 7, I really would have been critical of losing them. 16, hard to like reprimand Clem for that. it's a lot of damage done. But it would have helped a lot against roaches, which Lambo is just going to go right into 1-1 roach, maybe all in. I don't think it's going to work though. He's made he's hit so economically from his own choices. Well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions.
Resubscription received.
And then
Apparently
also
you are doing
the
something right,
Banshees.
Captain.
So I just, Lambo's not going to have a very good attack. It's going to be quite poor. It's going to be maybe laughable. Unless Clem gets really overconfident. Hello? Thank you, Roberts Bob, for the 11 months, as well as Temahana Henry for the 8 months. Best StarCraft 2 female at her best. Yeah, alright then. Thank you for all these years. You're welcome. Hey, and Scout C Justice with the 300 bits. Thank you very much. So as I was saying, I don't think Lambo's attack is going to be all that supercharged. It would only be dangerous if Clem did just sacrifice 16 Marines right there in a foolish attempt to take the battle to Lambo. No reason to do that. Just stay home. So there you have it. Bunker's even done. Clem's like, I don't need it. Did lose a tank and a medevac, but easy peasy game. GG. GG! 2-2!
Warning. Philanthropist programs detected in comm server 04.
Ooh, Viking Briggs. Viking Briggs, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. Hey, that's a party now. Got confetti and everything. Did you guys see the Super Smash Bros? Like SmashCon or something like that? Where the technician didn't understand the producer and made the confetti go off before the series is actually done. The loser. Or the person who was losing won a game or something like that. I didn't quite understand the context, but I think I gathered enough context. It was like, you know, 1-0 and then it was 1-1 and they popped the confetti. And they were like, no! Oh, last map's gonna be Moondance. In the bottom right, it is Lambo. Top left, we've got Clem. Is Clem doing it? It might be. Lambo... I'm not exactly throwing him a softball there, because I do think it had a lot of potential. But Clem really did handle that perfectly. We saw Hero Marine scout the same attack in about the same amount of time. He scouted it a bit closer to home with the Reaper, but on a shorter map. So I don't know if it was exact amount of time, same amount of time, but similar. Moondance is the smallest map, so that's something to consider. But it was similar, and Hero Marine then tried to, you know, get to Banshees as soon as possible, but he kept producing Hellions. And his barracks, I think, had been used as a swapper. So even if it did build something, it would have taken a while to, you know. His credit as to how that was a more difficult hold for him. But it was all because it was a 3rd CC first anyways. So here Marine just really had an unideal build. Clem had an unideal build, but not nearly to the same extent. All production already up and running. Just needs to actually get to producing something. And then a good scout. And a good reaction. I don't think Lambo really could have done anything to make it better, because you don't really evacuate. You don't stop doing that push when it's been hardcore scouted. I mean, I guess you could, but I don't know if it's really worth it. Usually you can at least enter into the main, get the natural to lift, something like that. But, yeah, it just was not the most ideal scenario for Lambo. And then on the actual execution, it was absolutely terrible. He just had nothing to do. There was nothing to execute. He was already defended against. Not much else you can wiggle out of that. So Lambo's not going to be doing that again, despite it being the shorter map. And Clem looks like he is confidently agreeing with that, saying, yeah, he's not going to do that again. And he's going to go for a 3rd CC on Moondance. So, is it... Hindsight's always 20/20. It's impossible to say that Lambo waiting until this map would have done the trick, would have made him and his Roche attack work. But there is a reason why it is considered a better on this map. 3rd CC is more likely with the back base, and then it is the shortest rush distance in the map pool. But if Clem had not just gotten Roach rushed, he might not have 3 CC'd, right? Like, so... We're not Doctor Strange. We cannot look into the thousands and millions of alternate universes. Sandwolf, thank you for 100 bits. Hello, naps are too powerful for the camera's autofocus. Oh, yeah. I didn't realize that he was in the pot. Because it was kind of askew. Askew? That word doesn't sound right when you say it. It was lopsided. So I was gonna move it so that maybe he could use it, and I tried like kind of picking it up and moving it, and it was just like, you know, 15 pounds, and he just popped out with his head and he looked at me like, the fuck? He was quite upset. Anyways. Clem's going for the 3cc build into a 211. And Lambo has yet to discover that exactly. He knows that it's a 3cc thanks to the Overlord positioning. Just kind of dipped in, went back out. But doesn't know the follow-up. So this could be the 111 follow-up. Hellion Banshee. Could be, I mean, it could be battle cruisers. So Clem's not really one for that. And it could be a 211. I mean, it's kind of the two options, to be honest. 211 or 111, right? But the 111 has so much more, you know, Hellions, Liberator, Banshees, battle cruisers, whatever. Even Widowmine drops, actually. You know, that could be a thing. But it's a 211. So Lambo, there's a severe difference between how you defend the 211 and how you defend like a tech-based harassment build. So if he thinks it is Hellion Banshee and he's prepared to defend multiple locations from little pinpricks, then one rather big attack in comparison at the very least could be kind of surprising. So worst case scenario for Lambo. Not realizing what's going on, he has units all over the place. And he doesn't track, he has no ability to track the two medevacs and where they go. And also he doesn't make that many links. It would also be very dangerous. So he sees that there are only two Hellions, so he's not really eager to make lings. Don't need lings to defend two Hellions. But hopefully he picks up on that. Probably means that there's 211 on the way. Not that many Hellions. What else could they be doing? Building from the barracks. So he's trying to time this out perfectly. Did he time it out perfectly, though? Did he, though? That's what's sketch about it. 5.5 minutes. That's what 3cc211's going to hit. Lings would ideally be out before it drops. And they are only being made now. So that fourth base does get canceled. Overlord gets killed. Number 2 Overlord, actually. The first one already supply blocks Lambo, and he might have misidentified the situation. Fortunately, Queens are very tanky and will hold the line for now, but that was a 70% completed fourth base, so to cancel that is painful. And then to kind of lose control over the situation a little bit too, it's just always a little frazzling. Clem's gonna jet right over to that fifth base, since he's probably got 2 more medevacs about to load up anyways. Actually, no. No, he does not. Where is he? I'm not surprised he doesn't have 2 medevacs following suit. Maybe I missed part of the build order. He did get a really fast 4cc, but maybe that's it. A 4cc at 6 minutes. So that's a lot. So only 2 medevacs then really isn't that big of a deal. It still sucks that he lost the 4th so easily, but I mean, I feel like if it had run up right into 2 pairs of 2 medevacs, this would be canceled and this would be canceled. Maybe. Maybe. Bailing speed is done, so a little bit more help on the defensive, now that creep spread's there as well. Baneling run by is being set up currently, although being very, very patient. It might even be run by slash waiting to see if it's a big attack. It is not. Looks like a medevac just died, so attempted reinforcement of the front line went quite poorly for Clem. 2 more medevacs are going on the way. Tank is here to help defend against any run-bys. He does have a lot of his army on Lambo's side of the map. And now Lambo is choosing to send a lot of his army to Clem's side of the map. 4th base is not yet finished. Supply depots are raised, as the 4th CC at least provided a bit of scouts. And the tank is going to help still a decent amount. Widowmine, yeah, it's going to get a decent shot. Nah, not focus fired. And Clem is going to have the F2 and return home. Those SCVs, the natural, are very scary. Not that they are scary, but that the 2 banelings available might have been able to crash into them. Lambo maybe didn't have the time to look at that and say, oh, okay, these 2 SCVs can go kill those SCVs that are pulled in. He just was focused on skedaddling, realizing that Dad is coming home. Hide the liquor. So he tried his best to skedaddle. fairly effective skedaddle, too. He did still cause quite the interruption into Clem's two-pronged attack attempt. He was setting up for it, and then Lambo just went lol JK and kind of swept the foot. And now he's got 5 bases, going on to 6 bases, actually. Back base has been taken. 6 bases, 79 drones. You know, it's decent, but Clem did have a 6-minute force CC. And is at 72 SCVs himself, so don't get ahead of yourself, sort of player. These are 2 players who have a lot of economy. Clem even more so when he's actually muling, and since he's not really doing a whole lot of scanning, he's probably muling a decent bit. And Lambo is still, well now, I'd say, as we kind of advance forward in the pacing of a TvZ, I'd kind of say that he's kind of stuck on Ling Baneling. A little worried about that. You don't want to be facing a 2-2 max out Terran force with only 1-1 Ling Baneling. Hell, 2-2 Ling Baneling would still be kind of sketch. This is probably the best attack he's gonna get, though. A complete surround. The tank's unsieged. Even though it did go off of creep, that was the perfect pounce. Clem was not predicting that, and that might actually lose him this game and this series. His reinforcements are going to be jumped upon. Lambo knows he's got a moment. He's going to try and take the full potential of it. SCVs do go down. Third base also going to be under attack, but the reinforcements are here. 8 barracks pumping away, although some of them are missing their add-ons, but still a lot of production. 4th base was a planetary at this entire time, of course, as well, so that at least would have been continuing to mine. And it's not going to end the game yet, but that was a really important jump scare, basically. Like, really, Clem was not predicting that. He was relatively safe off of creep. That was a fairly decent Terran setup. Now, obviously, at the end of the day, we can say that he was still too aggressive. He was not prepared to take the engagement, but that was generally considered safe from a Terran's perspective, and Lambo had just pre-set up a really good engagement. But now he might be throwing away this opportunity. He actually goes for an attack on the planetary, thinking he can get it before Clem responds, but he was wrong about that. Planetary lives, 17 SCVs die, but that is quickly replaced with 4 command centers. And Clem, of course, has the mules. And now Clem has the army that is built up over the last minute since his first one was conquered. And it is now steamrolling across the map, clearing up all this creep spread. He could try and go for a drop to the left, push to the right, or vice versa. And Lambo still does not have better units than Ling Baneling, although 2-2 did finish. So it's still a bit worrying. As the creep spread was great through the middle, it's really not that great over to his bases. So this could be the domino effect. If this base falls, then Lambo's natural would be under attack. Tanks, again, not exactly all sieged up, although 2 of them were, so they will get some shots, and this is all going to be off of creep as well, so the spread of the Marines is fantastic, and Lambo, realizing where this is going to go, does tap out. GG. Clem will continue his streak of victories against Lambo, now 7-0 in the last 7 series. This one was the closest one, I guess, by far, being a best of 5 and ending 3-2. GG's. G freaking G.